What is up, Duelist Arts and Crafts here. Happy to once again be bringing you a new edition of War League Wednesdays. We've got week 4 was last week. These were the standings going into it. You can see we still had going into week 4 about three and a half undefeated teams left in the tournament. I say half because Q4 here up in the Blue Conference is undefeated, but they did have a bye week already, so they haven't, you know, won every single week just yet, but still technically undefeated. And in terms of feature match for today, we're going to stick down in the Red Conference again for I think the third week in a row. Maybe I'll try to mix some Blue Conference games in here eventually, but we did have a blockbuster matchup down in the Red Conference between undefeated team Damage Step and nearly undefeated team B.A.D.S, who was 2-1. And two of the players with the best records going into this week were those participating in today's feature match. Confuse Ray on B.A.D.S versus MMF on Damage Step. Confuse Ray is 2-1. Going into week 4, MMF is undefeated at 3-0. So two players near the top of the individual player leaderboard standings competing for two teams that are near top of the conference. In terms of prep going to this match, Confuse Ray, like I said, they were 2-1. They've played Chaos Control every single week against a variety of decks. I think week 1 they played Go Control, week 2 they played Chaos Control, and week 3 they played Turbo, something like that. So a good amount of variety of the matchups, and they brought the same deck every single time. Maybe not the exact same 55, but after scouting several of their games, this is basically kind of what my guess would be like, assuming that they bring Chaos Control to week 4. These are all the cards that they played in their main deck that I could see during the scouting through the first 3 weeks. So you can see here, relatively standard Chaos Turbo or Chaos Control list. Sorry, they're running double Dekoichi, triple Spy. Now the triple Spy is interesting because I did see in their matchup in week 2 or 3 against Chaos Turbo that they actually sided a Spy out against Turbo. And now this is relevant potentially for the future because MMF, spoiler alert, has played Chaos Turbo all 3 weeks. So I would expect both players are prepping for a Chaos Control versus Chaos Turbo matchup. Seems like we got a couple one-trickers so far on this tournament. But of course, two of the best decks in the format, they can beat pretty much any deck. So if you're going to one-trick a deck in War League, Chaos Control or Chaos Turbo are probably your top picks, right? But so a little bit of intel. If you were scouting Confused Ray, they do main deck 3 Spy in their normal list. They side one out against Turbo to fit in some other good stuff. They also main decked Kaiku at least one of the weeks. Main deck double Tsukuyomi at least one of the weeks. Now I only saw one Scapegoat definitively in the main deck, but I can assume that they're running at least a second copy, probably even a third. At least one copy of meta. Main deck Minecon is something they're not afraid to do, so that could mess with like set math, flip monster math if you're MMF. They also main decked creature swap it in at least one of the weeks as well. So I mean overall pretty standard. Pretty standard stuff out of Chaos Control. Post side, they seem to be running multiple copies of Asura Priest, multiple copies of Book of Moon. We saw those mostly against the Chaos Control and Go Control lists that they played. Either one of these could definitely be in the main deck for sure, right? Both cards are totally fine to main deck in Chaos Control, so I wouldn't be surprised to see those pre-side. A couple of things that I did not see that I wanted to point out was no Upstart Goblins. I feel like that's pretty standard today in Chaos Control, especially if you're only running the double Faith, not the triple, although I don't think Chaos Control really generally runs the triple Faith anyway. But you play enough spells that you don't really need the upstarts to make your Faiths live, so I think that's fine. I also didn't see them resolve a single Trap Dust Shoot at all between all 3 of their games, or all 3 of their matches. So either they're not running those at all, or I just didn't see them, or so they're probably at least not main decked, right? So a little bit of intel there if you are MMF. But overall, pretty standard Chaos Control stuff here. Not afraid to pre-side for the Turbo matchup, so MMF could have their work cut out for them in terms of how they're tweaking the ratios here. Now flipping over to MMF here, like I said, they ran Chaos Turbo all 3 weeks. It was actually 3 Turbo mirrors. So not a lot of diversity in terms of matchups, so I didn't see too much side deck technology. Overall, though, relatively standard turbo list. They're on double Dekoichi, triple Spy. I guess I shouldn't say normal turbo list. They are playing Night Assailants, but then they do some weird things in certain matchups. Week one, they main decked Book of Moon and Swords of Revealing Light, so I think they were kind of experimenting with different pre-sides for potential warrior matchups is kind of my read there. However, I didn't see either of these cards played either pre or post side in any of their future matches. So I would not, honestly not be surprised if these cards got relegated to the side deck if they're being played at all. And what I think was moved into the main deck to accommodate for that was main deck Zombira, which is obviously quite good against Warrior. It does have some use in the turbo matchup. It can beat over spies. And what's pretty cool is not only are they at least main decking one Zombira, I think they are bringing in one out of the side as well. And then they're playing a singleton reinforcement of the army post side to go and tutor these out. And now this is something that I've seen MMF talk about in Discord, wanting to test this exact ratio. Standard turbo, if you're on the Zombira plan post side, you're going to be running triple Zombiras. But MMF had the cool idea that it actually might be slightly more optimal to play double Zombira with a Rhoda to tutor them out to keep your monster count a little bit low, but it's basically just a third copy of Zombira. So it seems like they're testing that theory here this season of War League, because we've seen that a couple times post side in the Chaos Turbo Mirror. They've also teched a deck devastation virus post side, which makes the Zombiras even better. Pretty cool in the turbo matchup, although not exactly the most reliable thing. And they've also been siding in Mind Crush against Chaos Turbo, which is really cool. I'm honestly not a huge fan of the card, but it combos quite well with Trap Dust Shoot, and can do some pretty cool things. So, kind of some unconventional side choices here. Now, MMF has played Turbo Mirrors all 3 weeks, so if they are up against Confuse Ray's Chaos Control list, I'm not sure how many of these sort of cards will come in post side. But other than that, it's generally a pretty standard Chaos Turbo list. They're running, most likely the second upstart is mained. I just didn't see it, right? They got some pretty standard stuff in the side deck that I saw as well. Kaikus, Mind Cons, MST, all cards that can come in post side against Chaos Control. So some weird things that might keep Confuser on their toes, but pretty much going into this expecting Chaos Control versus Chaos Turbo. Cool. So that is the prep for the week. Let's hop right into it. So we will be playing from Confused Ray's side here, getting to see what cards they have. And they have a pretty solid opening hand here. You can see that pretty much looks like they're rocking their Chaos Control list. Main deck creature swap. So here the choice is really just going to be set Spy or set Dekoichi. If you're up against Turbo, well, so I guess you have knock here, so you probably want to set the Spy first. So that way, if MMF just goes set a monster, you can go flip Spy, put it into attack position, knock the monster, and get in for 24. That's a really strong play. The age-old question in GOAT format is, do you set Deco or Spy first? I think most people, when you have the knock to pair with it, will go for Spy, because the upside of being able to flip and hit for 24, like I was just saying, is generally considered to be very good. So I would, most of the time, lean towards set Spy. And then that's probably it here. I don't think you want to set Raigeki Break just yet. You have no discard outlet for it. So it's probably just going to be set Spy pass, is my guess. And that's what we see. MMF, see what they go for. They open a Thunder Dragon, which is not bad. Into Upstart Goblin, sure. Into double Upstart Goblin, cool. So we are up to 10k life. And then they fire off a card destruction. Wow, okay, so our hand will just be devastated. Will turn Chaos on for us, but it looks like MMF has some good stuff to be discarding here. Thunder Dragon, a Night Assailant with probably a flip. Yep, so main deck card D out of MMF is, honestly, I don't think I've seen that at all prep-wise, so not sure if Confused Ray would have been prepared for this at all. But it is definitely something that Turbo decks can do. It can be pretty solid against Chaos Control as well. Oh, and especially if they have double Night Assailant in hand, that's pretty insane. So this is a very high-value card destruction out of MMF. Trigger the double Night Assailants, trade in their Thunder Dragons. They do discard a B.A.D.S, but it's still probably worth it because of how much card advantage they got off of this. And Confused Ray is going to have to discard some good stuff in their hand as well, but maybe they'll draw into some Trinity here because they were not able to do that just yet. Same thing for MMF though. I think generally it's pretty good to fire off a card D if you haven't seen any of your Trinity cards yet. That's just like one thing that's generally in your favor, right? Because it is kind of a high volatility card. But if you can kind of guess the quality of the cards left in your deck based on what you've played so far, it can make it easier to decide when to card destruction. So I like this out of MMF. Confuse Ray draws into, honestly, draws into the second Nobleman, which is pretty nice. So the turn one spy set still kind of paying dividends here. Still could potentially apply a lot of pressure. Chaos Sorcerer, that's already live, is pretty nice. Jog and Scapegoat are just two decent cards to have, and Thunder Dragon is pretty nice to find here as well, especially because you didn't find double Thunder Dragon. That would be pretty catastrophic. And then that's going to get a nice full hand here, though. Get back both of those Night Assailants. So Confuse Ray is pretty far behind at this point, especially if there's a knock. There is a knock on the Spy, which is a bit unfortunate. And it looks like Confuse Ray is just running the double Spy here. Okay, cool. So that's a little bit interesting. Like, no, you know what? I guess this makes sense because we did see them main deck in the prep. We saw that they main decked 3 Spies, but sided one out against Turbo. So because you're playing against someone who has played Turbo all 3 weeks, you can probably pre-side for this a little bit by cutting that third Spy and siding in whatever you would normally put in that scenario, right? So I think that makes sense. Maybe you put in like a Minecon or something in place of that third Spy. Yeah, one knock on. MMF is going to T-set pass. Could be a Night Assailant, but honestly could be a lot of things. Confuse Ray, draw for turn, Snatch Steal, good card to have. You are a little bit behind. I don't think there's a reason to really summon Chaos Sorcerer right now. You are a control deck. You kind of want to get value out of that. So the play is probably just knock the set, activate Thunder Dragon, set Jar, Scapegoat pass. Is probably what I would do here. Oh, well, pending Dust Shoot. We'll see what MMF takes back the Sork. Okay. Still don't think that changes too much. Yeah, so just go fire off Thunder Dragon. Oh, interesting that you're discarding. Okay, no, never mind. I thought that they were only grabbing the 1 TD. But yeah, so fire off Thunder Dragon, knock the set Jar, Scapegoat pass. I feel like it's the play. Looks like Confuse Ray is just on the single. Oh no, double Dequaichi here. Yeah, as expected. That's the ratio we saw in the prep. MMF also on double Dequaichi. Now we do know that MMF was running triple Spy in most of their matches. So there is potential that they have a Spy in hand. That could be a little bit of a read that Confuse Ray had. There's a decent chance that MMF has a Spy in hand because they only banished 2 off of the knock. And yeah, the play is just going to be set Jar, set Scapegoat pass. Definitely makes sense to me. And then that's going to slam down a Chaos Sorcerer. They know that Confuse Ray has nothing to really stop this. They do have to play around Snatch Steal, though. But just trying to get a little bit aggressive here. I think that's totally fine. No need to block this with the Scapegoat just yet. Doesn't really do anything, especially when MMF still has their normal summon. So you don't want to play into main phase 2. Tribe, kill all your goat tokens, of course. Set a back row. Set a monster pass. Remember, we do think there's a decent chance that they have Spy in hand. We know that they had 2 Night Assailants in hand, so that's probably the read. It's one of those. Breaker for turn is really insane to pair with our Snatch Steal. So the question is, do we want to fire off the Jar of Greed at all? I mean, I guess you probably go to main phase 1. Well, let's get to main phase 1, see if they Dust Shoot. If they don't Dust Shoot, you probably summon Breaker, pop it anyway in case it's like held Dust Shoot, right? That's probably the play, yeah. Then you can pop the back row. It's Raigeki break, so MMF is going to chain, discard a Night Assailant with no targets to bounce back to hand. So that's actually a nice little 2-for-1. So Breaker doing some stuff. Ooh, MMF is going to pop a back row here with the idea being that they want to hit the Scapegoat so that it just dies here. So that's an interesting play. And they are just going to snipe the Scapegoat, so that's actually... Yeah, it kind of saves the situation a little bit for MMF. It's still a little bit of a plus for Confuse Ray, right? Because you traded like 1.5 cards for a full 2 cards is kind of the way I think about it. But MMF was up a bunch of cards for the ability to do that. Now, pretty risky out of MMF because I could have just hit the jar, which would have been pretty catastrophic. But winning the 50-50, I guess recognizing that they don't really need that Knight Assailant for too much at this point in time. So yeah, I think that play makes sense. And they do get lucky when the coin flip and hit the scapegoat. I think now we probably just fire off the Jar of Greed. Yeah, there's no point in holding it at this point because we know they don't have Dust Shoot and they know it's Jar anyway. So there's no point in trying to bluff there. Draw Jar into Jar. Sucks a little bit, but this is how things go sometimes. And now, so the set could be the second Knight Assailant, right? So you probably don't want to snatch the Sork first. So if the read is that this is either Assailant or Spy, most likely, I think the play is you probably go Breaker, attack the set. If it's Knight Assailant, they trade, and it's actually good because you're trading half a card for a full card. If it's Spy, then you go main phase. I mean, you're going to go main phase 2, snatch the Sork anyway, probably. Although maybe not if it's Knight Assailant. But if it's Spy, you're definitely going to go main phase 2, snatch, banish the Spy, and then set Jar pass. Yeah, I don't think you want to snatch first, though, because it could be that Knight Assailant. Yeah, so this is a little bit of a mistake, I think. Because if it is Knight Assailant, then they can just kill the Sork, right? And I feel like I would rather keep this around. I mean, I guess this does guarantee that damage gets through most of the time here, but I feel like you don't really care about getting super aggressive at the moment because you're actually in a decent spot if you can out this, or if MMF can't out this. Yeah, so I would have preferred main phase 2 snatch just to play around Knight Assailant. They do hit the Spy though, which is pretty nice. MMF, yeah, so they are running 3 Spies, and I was correct. You know, prep pays off. We know MMF is running triple Spy, so likely that they had one in hand. So we do know that their second Knight Assailant is still in hand for MMF, right? And I think that's the only card we know. But Sork will just kill the Spy, and Breaker will get in for 16. So we didn't get punished by the Knight Assailant, which is kind of nice. Main phase 2, do you want to tribute this? Or no, sorry, we normal summoned the Breaker this turn already. So I was thinking if you could, you might want to tribute over the Sork for Thunder Dragon, but you can't do that, so it's a moot point. We're just going to go set Jar pass. Yeah. I like the turnout of Confuse Ray generally, but I feel like the sequencing could have played around Knight Assailant a little bit better. But either way, not punished, so end up in a good spot. MMF gets to gain the 1,000 off that. They have Breaker, which is huge, so they get to steal their Sork right back, which is a little bit unfortunate. They get to banish the B.A.D.S. and then get in for 16. Sure. And now we're kind of on the back foot again. We draw Scapegoat for turn. Gonna fire off that Jar, reevaluate. Duo is pretty nice. Actually doesn't do that much, actually, because we know they have Knight Assailant in hand. So I almost would be fine with hold Duo here and just set Scapegoat pass. I mean, if they bounce something, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I feel like you don't want to... I don't... This is kind of a tough choice. I mean, do you just fire off the Duo here for a 1-for-1? I feel like it just doesn't do much for you at the moment. So you might as well hold it in case there's a better opportunity. Like I mean, at least you can hit a card now, though. I guess there's no guarantee that MMF is going to stay down, is going to keep one non-Knight Assailant card in hand in the future. So maybe you just Duo now because there's a good chance that they'll just play everything that they draw from here on out. So yeah, I'm leaning towards firing off the Duo here begrudgingly. I could definitely understand holding it, though, but I feel like I would rather just use it. They're just going to go double set pass. Bluff set the Duo. Yeah, I think that's fine. You don't really care if it gets, like, heavy stormed or anything. The thing is I don't care if they bounce. Like, if they regrab the Knight Assailant, it's like, okay, whatever. It's the same scenario. And then they just lost the other card. If they regrab Spy... I guess regrabbing Spy could be annoying. But yeah, I can understand if you're the control deck and you're behind on board, you probably want to save your duo to get value and try and get you back into this game. So I don't hate this. I think it's pretty close duoing here or not. MMF is going to go get in for 16. They are playing around Mirror Force, which is quite nice for us considering they don't have one. And they turn the Sork to attack position afterwards, I guess, to play around potential like Zumbira or something, um, which is fine. We draw Graceful for a turn, which is absolutely insane. Okay, so we're definitely just going to fire off this Graceful here. Discard both Thunder Dragons. Duh. And now we have a pretty solid hand here between Meta, Ring, and Raigeki Break. I mean, we have Meta to go with our Scapegoat, so the plan is probably to set it for like end phase or main phase, end phase or battle phase Scapegoat to block the attacks. And then yeah, so I think you definitely set Ring here. You can probably hold the Raigeki Break. I don't think there's anything you really want to be discarding for it right now. I think Ring is too good and Meta is too good when you have the Scapegoat on board. So Raigeki Break isn't doing too much for us right now. I guess, do we want to Delinquent Duo now? They didn't play anything last turn, so they probably don't have any back row in hand. So I guess, what would they not be playing? They could be holding on to like Sinister Serpent probably gets held in the hand. Chaos Sorcerer probably gets held in the hand. Tribe Infecting Virus probably gets held in the hand. Any monster, any flip monster, they're probably setting here. But Sinister does make the duo really, really bad. This is once again a pretty tough call because I mean there is a chance you just hit the Knight Assailant and then they get to pick the worse of the or the better of their two cards to keep, right? But there is something to be said for duoing now to remove potential options from MMF's hand before they know kind of what you're going for in that sense. So yeah, maybe you just duo here because Sinister is bad, right? And it is just a -1. But you could hit. There are a lot of good things against what you have here that you could hit, right? Like if you get Sinister, that absolutely sucks. But hitting a Sork is really nice. Hitting Tribe is really nice. And they have more copies of those than they do have the single Serp, right? Although they could have Serpent and a Chaos Monster or something. Um, yeah, probably you fire the duo here. They're just gonna set Raigeki Break Fast. Okay, so they're saying I'm going to Raigeki Break discard the ring to kill something so that I don't take a lot of life points as damage. Which I guess if the read is that your opponent has a Chaos Monster in hand, is pretty good. Especially if you want to, yeah, I guess if you want to be setting up for this duo at some point, ringing is pretty dangerous because like you don't have that many life points to spare. Yeah, so I think this is fine. And yeah, going for ring, I guess, is committing to scapegoating in the battle phase, which MMF definitely could have tribe in hand, and that would be really bad. So this way you save your life points to allow you to take some hits, and then scapegoat in the end phase. Potentially is the idea. Now I think you have to scapegoat in the battle phase anyway, though, because they just have this is just too much attack. In which case, I mean, I guess the tiebreaker is that duo or is that break can pop a back row, but you kind of like MMF doesn't really have any back row. They would be setting stuff here, right? I guess Confused Ray is just saying I don't want to be ringing at this point in time because that's scary, and you know what? I think that's totally fine. I guess if you're worried about your life points, you're in actually a decent position here, so I think it's fine. And it does save your life points if you ever actually find a good time to duo, perhaps. So yeah, not the play that was intuitive to me, but I think depending on how much you value your life points in this scenario, this makes sense. And there's utility if MMF like goes set a back row, you can pop that and then set up for your scapegoat meta play, whereas you can't do that with the ring, so that's probably fine. They are thankfully still playing around Mirror Force, which is really nice. I feel like because there's a good chance that they have tribe in hand, you just don't want to go scapegoat now. Yeah, so you take the 16. Yeah, and so I guess MMF has shown that they're willing to play around Mirror Force at this point. So you're not likely having to scapegoat in this battle phase to protect your life points. Right? If MMF was going to attack with both, I feel like you have to, but because they've shown that they're not willing to at the time being, I think this is fine, and then you can just take the hit, use your life points to get off a better scapegoat, and then go for like and then you just never have to use ring because like you used your life points to get off a better scapegoat essentially. Yeah, so we're gonna go and face scapegoat, of course. This was kind of what we were setting up for. Yeah, so I actually I like this line out of Confuse Ray. Using your life points as a resource, meaning that you have to pick probably max 2 out of the 3, right? You can't ring duo and hold scapegoat till end phase. So they're choosing not to use ring and to set up for a potentially good duo and for end phase scapegoat to play around the tribe that MMF could have in hand. Now, once again, MMF has not set anything, which is really nice. We draw Mirror Force for turn, which is kind of funny because MMF has been playing around it the whole time. I mean, the play is just going to be. I mean, it just has to be meta, suck the Sork, kill the Breaker, and then just go from there. I I guess you don't set anything because you don't want to get like super duper plus on, right? Although it's pretty clear MMF doesn't have heavy. They probably would have used it at this point. But yeah, let's just go for the meta play first, and then I'll think of main phase two. Yeah, so we get to hit them in for a good amount. We get the Thousand Eyes on the board. And now the choice is, do we actually want to set anything or nothing at all? We definitely want to. I mean, I guess we said we're not going to use ring. So maybe you just set the Mirror Force here and say if you top deck heavy, GG, perhaps. I guess you're not really scared about Mirror Force though because you have Thousand Eyes on the board. So they would need to both out your Thousand Eyes and have a threat that you want to Mirror Force. And you have goat tokens on the board anyway. So yeah, I don't think you want to play the Mirror Force just because it doesn't actually protect you from a lot. So it's probably just pass turn. That's my guess. Yeah, I like that play. Yeah. No point in setting the Mirror Force. You have plenty of protection against battle here. So I like this. And you've already committed to using Ring as the Raigeki break discard fodder. So they do have the tribe as expected. You're gonna go tribe, discard, call beast. So now the choice is okay. Well, so we'll get to see what they can draw or what they choose to grab off the Night Assailant. If they grab the Spy, then Duo is suddenly live. I guess, do we want to... You probably ring a Raigeki break now so that they can't go Thousand Eyes or Tribe pop the Thousand Eyes. I feel like we have to do that. Like, we're pretty far behind here for the most part because of this Tribe. Like, yeah, they could have Chaos banish the Thousand Eyes and that would suck. But we do have Mirror Force's backup later on. And I don't want them to just be able to infinitely plus by Tribe discarding Night Assailant, grab Night Assailant, right? So I like Raigeki breaking on chain here. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. You lose your beasts, but your Thousand Eyes lives to see another day. They grab back the other Night Assailant, so our duo is still kind of dead. And then they slam Sork as expected. So yeah, this is all stuff that I think was kind of expected out of MMF. Tribe in hand, Chaos Sorcerer in hand, all stuff that we basically called. And we played around all of that as best we could, unfortunately. I mean, I guess Yeah, it kind of sucked that Confuse Ray bluff set the duo. Now, of course, they didn't know that they were going to draw Raigeki break, but you would have much rather discarded the Raigeki break or discarded the duo to the Raigeki break instead of the ring, right? But that is one of the issues with going for a bluff set, of course. And now we're in a not so great of a spot. They have Knight Assailant and one other card in hand. It's probably just set Mirror Force pass. I don't like duo here because you just lose to any out on the Mirror Force. So it's probably just set Mirror Force pass. You could also set the Kaiku. Set the Kaiku actually doesn't seem terrible. If they knock it, it's like, okay, whatever. It's not like you have B.A.D.S to worry about. And you're pretty sure that they don't have knock in hand anyway. I mean, I guess they could have knock in hand. We haven't tested for knock ever this game. They did use one, so it's a little bit less likely. But we haven't tested in a very long time. So knock is kind of in their range, potentially. But if they knock the Kaiku, how badly do we care about that? Then I guess also what is setting Kaiku makes us not lose to Heavy Storm immediately. Right? Breaker is already gone. MMF didn't seem to be main decking MST. So you probably don't need to play around that. So yeah, it's probably just set Mirror Force pass. And hold the Kaiku for if the Sork gets killed. Yeah, I think this makes sense. MF attacks in, we have to Mirror Force. Pretty nice. They set a monster pass. We draw Sangan for a turn, which is pretty nice because this set. I mean, it's unlikely that this set is Knight Assailant, but it could be. And if it is Knight Assailant, crashing the Sangan is really nice. What else could it be? Faith, we kind of don't care about, but it does make set Sangan really bad because then they just knock it. And if they do have Faith set and we kill it with the Sangan, like, what are you going to grab? Like, who cares? You can grab card D, I guess, but that's not the end of the world for us. So yeah, kind of just like Sangan attack here. Yeah, they don't have any spies. I guess it could be Dekoichi. No, we knocked the Dekoichis. Yeah, so it's got to be the set is either Faith, Sangan, Serpent, or the Knight Assailant. Right? It's probably not the Knight Assailant. I don't really see any reason to set it just yet because they're at pretty high life. Um, so it's probably Faith more than anything. If it's Sangan and they search something, it's like, do I really care? Also, by the way. Yeah, so I kind of like summon Sangan attack. Because it could be the Knight Assailant, I don't like just running the Kaiku out. You're not just going to go like Kaiku attack. And you can't go set Sangan, right, because of Faith into knock. So I think it's summon Sangan attack is the play. Yeah, and Confuse Ray agrees. And they do hit the Knight Assailant, which is huge. And now what do we grab with this? Do we grab Faith? Faith would be nice. Faith would be pretty strong here. We don't really have anything to do with Serpent. Spies are knocked. Dekos are knocked. So it's basically Faith, Serpent, or Tsukuyomi, and Tsukuyomi doesn't really do anything for us here. So I think it's just grab Faith. We're going to grab Serpent, though. I guess that's a little bit more of a defensive play. That's a close one. Definitely let me know what you think about that one. Because I feel like... I mean, I guess it's better if you like top deck Metamorphosis at some point. Right? Then it's a little bit stronger. Surely you're not just running the one Faith, right? I mean, maybe. I feel like Faith is probably the better grab here, though. Serpent's totally fine, though, of course, though. And now we're gonna duo because we. Oh yeah. Now we can duo because Knight Assailant's gone. That was the important thing as well. If we crash in and we do see that it is the Knight Assailant, then that turns duo on. So yeah, this was setting up for this play the whole time, and we can rip out Snatch and Sook, which is pretty cool. We're gonna pass with 1900 health, which is kind of scary, but they don't have any chaos and Breaker's gone, so they actually can't kill us this turn. So this is actually totally fine. And now Confuse Ray is actually in a pretty good spot, I think. Draw a set of back row pass. We draw Sork for turn, which is an insane top deck. I feel like it just has to be Kaiku attack, right? That's probably the play. Yeah, because we actually, well, we don't really care about banishing anything at this point in time, right? Because all their chaos monsters are gone. So really, we just need to not lose. In which case, I think summon Kaiku attack is fine. If they mirror force it or torrential it, then you can just go summon Sork as well in like main phase 2 or main phase 1 if it's torrential. So I like this play. I don't think we need to add the Sork because we haven't seen torrential or mirror force yet, and that's just like overextending a little bit too much here. Yeah, so we get in for 18. Banishes here do not matter, right? Because all the chaos is gone, and all the night assailants are gone. So yeah, really does not matter at all. Yeah, I guess in case they have premature miracle, might as well. But yeah, Fuse Ray in a pretty good spot here. They draw Zumbire, so MMF is on the main deck. Zumbire technology still here. I mean, it's something that they were siding into against Turbo. I wonder if they main decked Deck Devastation Virus here at all. But yeah, Zumbire's gonna come down, kill the Kaiku, which is a bit of a bummer. But we can just banish that with the Sork on the crackback. Double Sork is pretty nice. Do you go? I feel like it's probably summon Sork banish, summon second Sork, summon one Sork in defense, banish the Zumbira. Summon second Sork in attack, and then set Serpent is probably the play. Because we do want to clock our opponent. Yeah. So I like this. Now, notably, Sinister actually. Well, I guess if we want to go summon Sinister next turn to kill, we can just do that. Yeah. So nice play here out of Confuser. I think this makes total sense. And yeah, MMF is just in an awkward spot where they got that really high value card destruction early on, but they discarded their BLS. And now they've run out of Chaos Monsters when Confuse Ray hasn't used a single one. And basically just got outgrounded by Chaos Control, which is kind of what the deck is supposed to do. Looking a little bit dicey there for a while. But I think holding off for that high value duo really paid off. Yeah, they played around a lot of what MMF would have had in hand pretty well. Now, thankfully, MMF was playing around Mirror Force when Confuser didn't have it. You can kind of see the value of Mirror Force just as a threat. It's kind of really what allowed Confuser to win this game for the most part. Because if MMF just went like full aggro at any point, I feel like it would have been pretty rough. Because if they like forced out the scapegoat in battle phase and then we're just able to go main phase 2, summon tribe, blow it up, that would have been really bad. But Confuser never had to do that because MMF never was respecting Mirror Force, essentially. Yeah, now Confuse Ray meta is a cool draw. Is it worth metaing into anything? I mean, I guess you could like. I always forget what level Ryu Senshi is. Ryu Senshi is level 6, right? Yeah, and we do have one trap negate, which would be good for the potential mirror force. So actually, don't hate meta into Ryu Senshi, and then attack for game with both your monsters, and then negate the mirror force if they have it. It actually seems kind of nice. Yeah, and that's what's gonna happen. Torrential would suck, but MMF I don't think was. They might have been main decking Torrential. Don't really remember the prep. Jar of Greed, short, and GG. Yeah, all right. Confuser really well played there in game 1. Navigated some very sticky situations quite well, and they managed to outgrind MMF's Turbo List. Now we'll go to post side. I'm interested to see if MMF brings in the Deck Devastation Virus tech or the Mind Crush tech. We never seen them play against Chaos Control at all this league so far, but they did bring those in against Turbo, so definitely a possibility against Chaos Control. Looks like Confuser is on a little bit of Zombira tech of their own. I guess that's good if you expect MMF was running a little bit of Kaiku technology in their deck, so if you're expecting those to come in, Zombira can be quite nice. And it also, if MMF is playing Deck Devastation Virus, it's also a card that doesn't die to that, which is also nice. MMF here opens Thunder Dragon. It's going to go two-step past. Okay, Confuse Ray draws a knock for turn. That is a pretty nice draw. We'll see if they get Dust Shooted, though. Is Dust Shoot, that comes out. Probably send Spy back is my guess. Yep. So now the play is probably just... I mean, now it's really awkward, actually. That Dust Shoot really set Confuse Ray back a good amount. And now they know your entire hand as well, which is terrible. I feel like you do just have to knock here and then go like set ring and scapegoat, something like that. You hit the Sangan, that's fine. Now the question is, what do you set in main phase 2? I don't think you want to summon the Zombira. There's no real reason to do that. I mean, I guess you could summon the Zombira. I just feel, honestly, Zombira at this point might just be best to be Raigeki break fodder if you really need it. So I feel like, I mean, Ring deals with a lot of the stuff Raigeki break doesn't. Yeah, you don't really need to be Raigeki breaking anything just now. So it's probably just set ring scapegoat pass, is my guess. Just gonna set the ring. That's fine too. Um, I guess maybe if you set both, it can be kind of obvious which two they are, is my guess. So here it's like, is it ring or is it scapegoat? Probably. Gives MMF a little bit of something to think about. And you don't really need to resolve the scapegoat. Right now, it's not doing you anything. And MMF hasn't shown any aggression just yet, so unlikely that you'll be needing to play that ASAP. Upstart comes out into Duo. That hurts really bad. Oof. It's the Zambira, sure, and then you're going to discard the Raigeki break. Yep. Set a monster pass. Draw meta for turn. Okay, would have really liked to have set that scapegoat, unfortunately, but I don't think it was worth setting the scapegoat. Because it's not like you would know that you were going to top deck meta in your opponent's end phase, so unfortunate timing, but now I think you at least definitely set the scapegoat, right? Yep. And then that goes for the heavy. You're going to chain scapegoat. All good. Ring gets got. Tribe would be game breaking. You probably just concede if it's tribe if they have tribe. Oh, and then they have Suit Loop as well. Yeah, just in a really really bad spot. Yeah, because they have Tsukuyomi here to deal with the Thousand Eyes. I guess you can just go normal Kaiku attack the Dekoichi because you need to break up the Tsukuyomi loop. And I would rather sacrifice the Kaiku than the Metamorphosis. Because at least meta will have like instant impact when you use it, even if it dies to the Tsukuyomi. Whereas like Kaiku isn't guaranteed to do that. So it's probably just normal Kaiku attack the set monster. We're gonna go for the meta for Thousand Eyes play. I, yeah, I mean, I guess if the prio is to just break this up, you don't want to just run your Kaiku into um anything, right? Into like a mirror force or whatever. Like this is almost guaranteed. Like I guess all the stuff that stops Thousand Eyes also stops Kaiku. And then there are extra things like battle traps that will also stop the Kaiku here. So if you think that priority one is just deal with the Souk loop and then try to hang on from there, then just guaranteeing that you can do it, I guess, is fine. I think it kind of doesn't matter at this point because you're so far behind. Tsukuyomi answers both plays, right? Heavy Storm is fine. I mean, you probably just don't play anything, right? Maybe you pro set heavy. Pro set heavy could be cute. It's not great against turbo, but like it's probably worth a shot, I guess, right? Just in case it gets you some stuff. Yeah, like might as well do some weird stuff when you're this far behind. And MMF, okay, yeah, so they don't have anything to summon an attack, which is kind of nice. Tribe is another card that dies to Tsukuyomi, so we're just gonna pass. MMF. That's another back row. Okay, so now golden question, do you heavy storm here? It could be pretty neat. Um Faith is a card. that we have. MMF is on the mind control technology. I'm not sure if they sided in against chaos control because we haven't seen that matchup at all. But at the same time, is it worth it to play around mind control here regardless? Right? I mean, maybe you could bait the mind con by setting something because these cards are kind of useless anyway. So honestly, I could see a world where you set Tribe or Kaiku here. Probably the Kaiku you set. Because if they mind control the Tribe, they can just kill it, right? So you probably set Kaiku. There's no way that Pro Heavy actually does anything here, right? So you actually want to wait until you can save up for something. I mean, ooh, getting the Kaiku hit in is actually kind of nice, though. Even if it dies to the Souk, you get to banish their stuff. So do you go heavy attack with Kaiku just to turn them off chaos and hope you can draw this one out? I mean, it's kind of every situation is kind of bad. I think you're definitely not playing Tribe this turn. Faith would be if they mind con the Faith, that's pretty bad because we get duoed. But even if we resolve Faith, it's not like it's that amazing. Like we still just get a bunch of cards that do nothing. So it's almost not it's not worth really setting Faith here. I feel like it's not even worth baiting it. So maybe it is just heavy attack with Kaiku. Say, you know what, I know Kaiku's going to die to Souk, but at least I turn you off Chaos for a little bit, and I can delay you OTKing me. I think that's probably the plan. And we do get a nice little 2-for-1. We hit another knock. Makes me think that they probably have Mindcon in hand. If they're doing that. Right? Or the second knock. But yeah, now we can hit in with Kaiku, which is nice. Oh, we're going to go set Tribe. Okay, see, I like setting a monster, like I said, but I don't like setting Tribe because if they Mindcon it, they still get value, right? Whereas if they Mindcon the Kaiku, they don't get anything out of it. So if we're going to try and bait something out, like why even mess around with this, you know? They go Tribe, though, blow up our tokens. They do have the second knock, so they knock the Tribe. I feel like, would you have rather they knocked the Kaiku? Probably. Maybe not, though. I mean, because at least now Kaiku can beat over the Tribe, I guess. So, yeah, maybe that's fine. Yeah, I guess Kaiku is better if they have Mindcon. Tribe is better if they have Knock. Because you've already seen one Knock, I feel like I would rather play around the Mindcon, but they did end up having the second Knock, so Confuser didn't get punished for it. And now having the Kaiku is actually pretty nice, because you can go Kaiku attack over the Tribe and banish them off of Darks. This probably won't go through, but if it does, it's pretty sweet. Oh, it does go through. Okay, nice. Yeah, you banish a light and a dark. Yeah. Then you pass, it'll die to Souk, but at least you did some cool stuff along the way. The real victory was the Kaiku activations we made along the way, right, guys? So now we have an interesting choice. Do we care about Thunder Dragon? Or do we care about Trap Dust Shoe? Sorry. We do care about Thunder Dragon, because that's actually a pretty nice draw. I feel like you probably set Serpent and then activate the TD just to play around Dust Shoot. Because why not? If they have Mindcon, they might use it, and then that's good. We don't want them to Mindcon our Faith, because then we lose. I guess that we don't really lose that hard anymore to Duo. But I feel like setting Serpent is just generally pretty safe here. If they don't kill it, we have like Tribute for Thunder Dragon, which is pretty nice when it's clear that they really only have like Tsukuyomi going for them. If they attack over it, it's like whatever. Yeah, so I think I like set Serpent, activate Thunder Dragon is probably the play. We're gonna go set Faith, activate Thunder Dragon, which I feel like is risking Mindcon a little bit. You gotta remember MMF bluff set a knock earlier, and I feel like you're more likely to do that if you have two other set monster hate cards. Maybe you do it with when you have one other, but I feel like the diminishing returns of the third, like the third Minecon or Knock is a lot worse than the second Minecon or Knock. So I feel like it's pretty likely that they have the third one in hand, and then you're just playing Magician to Faith into potentially a Minecon here. We'll see though. No, they don't. They don't have it. Okay, so they go set a monster, set a back row pass. Heavy Storm is a pretty solid Faith snag here if we get there. Trap Dust Shoot comes out. Yeah, I guess was it worth playing around Dust Shoot by discarding another Thunder Dragon last turn? I didn't think about that at the time, but I feel like it was probably worth, especially if you're going to go through. I guess maybe you set the Faith to play around Dust Shoot this turn, and then with the Faith gone, you don't actually care about this Dust Shoot anymore. It's very much gambling on your opponent not having Minecon. But I guess at this point, Minecon doesn't really do much against us. So maybe, yeah, maybe this is fine. And now it's like, okay, do a back my or Dust Shoot back my Serpent. It's not the end of the world. So yeah, I think this is fine. Yeah, maybe I like this play a little bit more. Maybe setting Serpent is a little bit too cute. And now you can resolve the pot, because why not? Right. I mean, they could have another Dust Shoot, though. They could very well have another Dust Shoot. So maybe it's discard Thunder Dragon, activate pot, reevaluate. We're just going to fire off the pot and say, okay, I don't think you have another Dust Shoot. You're onto the Serpent anyway, which is funny. Ooh, they have Skill Drain for the Faith. Oh, that's crazy. Okay, so MMF with even more fancy side deck stuff. And yeah, Confused Ray would never play around this in a million years. But the Skill Drain is going to come out here to negate the Magician of Faith. Wow. All right. Pretty neat. It's a bit of a shame for Confuse Ray, but this is actually going to do a lot of work, I think. I guess you probably just go Tribute for Thunder Dragon attack. Not really anything else going on. And we know they have Tsukuyomi in hand, so if this is like a Dekoichi or a Faith, you definitely want to kill it if you can. Yeah. It is the Suk, which dies, which is fine. Set the Saku pass. Gets it with MST. That's fine. Thunder Dragon's actually a pretty nice threat at this point in time. However, the Suk getting in the grave does turn on Chaos, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I don't think you really had a choice. Because them turning on Chaos is not as bad as if they have something to Suk loop you with, I feel like. Especially because you know about the Tsukuyomi in hand. Right. So they do drop the Chaos, but I don't think you could afford to play around that. And Chaos plus Skill Drain is actually pretty nice. B.A.D.S is even nicer, though. So yeah, now we can just summon B.A.D.S, kill both of them. The greatest top deck of all time. And then set the Serpent. Oh, wait, no, I guess we can't kill both of them. In which case, if you can't kill both of them... Well, no, I guess you don't care about this other monster at all. I was like, if you can't kill both of them, then you're kind of worried about this flip, but the flip effect's negated, so who cares? So yeah. Kill the Sork, deal some damage. That makes sense. They go Tribute for TD, attack our set, which is just Serpent, which is fine. Set a back row. I don't think we want to be meta-ing the B.A.D.S. That doesn't seem very good, especially with Skill Drain out. So it's probably just B.A.D.S attack over the Thunder Dragon. They Mirror Force, that kind of sucks. But yeah, they don't. And it's going to be Set Serpent. Set Meta pass? I think Set Meta is pretty safe here. Yeah, because Breaker's gone, Heavy's gone. Well, Breaker doesn't work. MST and Heavy are gone. So actually, Set Meta here is actually totally fine. I choose not to. I feel like you totally can, though. Don't. Nothing that... It doesn't really lose to anything, so you might as well bluff there, right? Set a monster pass. Draw second meta, which is still useless. Now you're definitely going to bluff set one. Now I think you go Tribute Summon for Thunder Dragon. B.A.D.S attack the set. Thunder Dragon attack for 16, probably. Just in case it's like Spy set. Just to make sure you get some damage in this turn. Yep. Hitting for 16. Pretty nice. MMF. Gets the Serpent. Ooh, they have Snatch Steal on the BLS. That is a little bit unfortunate. Nothing we can do about it. And yeah, I feel like there's no reason not to be bluff setting these metamorphoses. Like they're actually almost completely useless at this point in time with skill drain on board. And your heavy is gone, so it's not like you'll be worried about heavying your own stuff. Now, it probably doesn't change. Like, MMF is probably snatch stealing the BLS regardless of what you have set. But there's no reason not to. You know what I mean? And now we're just staring down a 3,000 attack point beater. Heavy's in the grave. Kaiku doesn't do anything. Yeah, we're in a pretty bad spot here. I guess it's just set Serpent, set meta, pass. They go Sork. They go full beatdown mode with the skill drain on board. Pretty cool strat, honestly. Not gonna lie. Yeah, it's working out pretty nicely here. Breaker does nothing. Yeah. Just gonna have to go set the Serpent, set the meta pass. Yep. Nothing really to do here. Skill drain just kind of floodgated Confuse right out of the game. Oh, Mirror Force is a crazy, crazy draw, though. That's pretty nice. We draw Serpent. We can go... Yeah, they still have one Chaos left in deck. We're definitely setting the Mirror Force. Do you want to do anything with the Kaiku or the Breaker ahead of time? This set at this point, you basically have the read that it's just Serpent, right? You could go Breaker, attack that, but what does that really do for you? Not much. Yeah, so it's probably just set Mirror Force, set Serpent Pass. Yeah. They flip Spy, we Mirror Force. Oh, they have Deck Devastation Virus, though. Okay. That's cool. So all of the crazy side deck stuff coming in out of MMF, confirming my suspicion that Deck Devastation was going to come in here. Mirror Force does do some cool stuff, though. And they set a Monster Pass. Draw Spy. Spy dies to the DDV. It's probably just... Oh, do we want to go... No, I guess we can't have Breaker pop Sculpture. I keep thinking that Breaker can do things, but it can't. So in this case, we're just going to go Kaiku attack the new set, probably. All right. Yep, it's Faith, but it doesn't do anything. They find Zombira, though, which is really good into skill drain. This is such, like, Unga Bunga Yu-Gi-Oh, right? It's like, who draw big monster? Scapegoat is nice. Sure, just gonna set Scapegoat, set Serpent Pass. Sure. Breaker, sure. Attack with Zombira. I think you probably just Scapegoat here. Yeah, no reason not to. Slowly getting whittled down. Draw another Scapegoat. Sure, set it pass. And the Serpent. Or yeah, we can have Breaker trade with the Breaker. I guess that's fine. That works too. No reason not to. Save your goat tokens. Might as well just set the Sinister there, probably. Go draw Knock. Can knock the Sinister. That'd be nice. Yeah. Not really a lot of decisions to be made here. Just kind of watching and seeing what happens. Minecon doesn't do anything. Unless you could attack for game somehow, maybe? I don't think you can manufacture that at this point, though. I guess the set isn't Sinister. So we're probably just going to set Scapegoat Pass, is my guess. Set Minecon is fine, too. Roto for Zombira. Okay, now we got double Zombira action coming through. Or sorry, no, yeah, you can't attack with the Minecon anyway, so that doesn't do anything. They kill all of our monsters. Yeah, and then Confuse Ray only probably had the one Zombira in the deck. So that loses to two Zombiras, of course. Draw the Kaiku. Kaiku can kill Spy. Might as well. We're going to ring the Kaiku for game, though. All right, GG. Yeah, Confused Ray just kind of lost to Skill Drain, didn't have any of their back row removal ready to go. Heavy Storm already being in the graveyard. And we will move on to game 3. And Confused Ray probably going to be tweaking that side deck or the post side configuration a little bit to deal with the double Zombira, the deck devastation virus, the skill drain, stuff like that. If you weren't running your MSTs or your other back row removal, you probably want to bring that in. And honestly, that's kind of smart out of MMF because it's pretty common for players to side out of back row removal against Chaos Turbo because generally they play a lot of chainables. So some like a continuous trap like Skill Drain is the perfect way to exploit that. Right, and we basically saw it there. Confused Ray just had no outs in their deck or weren't drawing them. Didn't have a high enough density of outs in their deck to the skill drain, and then just got beaten down by Zombiras, right? So pretty cool stuff there. Nice side deck strategy for MMF, working out really nicely. But Confused Ray still has one chance to kind of pull it back, and now has that knowledge of kind of what they're up against more. Their hand here is pretty interesting. Not the best hand you'll ever see. It's probably just activate TD, set Tornado, set Jar, pass. No point in setting the Faith just yet. Doesn't really do anything for you. MMF has Thunder Dragon of their own. Cool. So both players are rocking the T-Drags. And we're going to set a back row pass. You're just going to Dust Tornado that in case it's Dust Shoot. It's an MST, but that's also totally fine to hit. Draw another Faith for turn, so we're definitely going to fire off the Jar here. And draw into Pot of Greed, which is insane. Fire off the Pot. Draw into double Raigeki Break. Okay. So now it's probably just... I mean, you have 2 Faiths, so if it gets knocked, that's fine. If they Mind Con it, that's not the end of the world. They probably reguard the Mind Con, in which case that's annoying. But I think it's just going to be set Faith, set Raigeki Break, pass, planning on discarding a Thunder Dragon. This is a little bit vulnerable to Mind Con, but we haven't seen MMF actually play any of them so far. And that last game went on pretty long. Mind Con conflicts with Skill Drain a little bit, so maybe they're not on that game plan. They do just knock the Faith, but that's totally fine because we have another one. MMF apparently just... Okay, never mind. It's like, where are your Faiths? 2 back row is good. No point in sniping one. It's just going to be... Well, let's see. Dust Shoot comes through. Sends back the Faith, which is annoying. And now we just kind of don't have any plays at all. So it's probably just set Raigeki Break Pass. You could just set nothing pass as well. Just to so your opponent kind of doesn't know exactly what you're setting. Yeah, I don't hate that. Get one more draw. You're probably not going to need both Raigeki breaks. So actually like getting one more draw in. And then even if you end up just setting the Raigeki break next turn, MMF won't be like 100% certain that that's what it is. Draw pass. We draw Jar of Greed, which is kind of slow. But now we can go set break, set Jar, maybe. Or just set the Jar. That's fine too. They chain heavy. Ah, yeah, so actually setting just Jar plays around the pro set heavy, so that's actually pretty nice. Chain the Jar, Raigeki Break gets killed, but that's fine. Keeping the Zombiras in when you know your opponent is on Skill Drain makes a lot of sense. Set a back row pass, sure. Confused Ray has Kaiku. That's an interesting card. Well, I guess we'll see if we get to main phase 1 first. Yep. I mean, what are we going to do besides Kaiku attack? All right. And then if they kill it, I know MMF knows the Sork is in hand, but if they kill it, it turns on Chaos. So you actually don't really care if they have like Ring or anything. It's just going to be summon Kaiku attack. They do ring it, but now Chaos is live, which is nice. Now you just go main phase 2, set Raigeki Break. So pretty even so far. Confused Ray able to resolve the pot is pretty nice. And that's really the only thing kind of separating the two players at the moment. But the fact that MMF hasn't mounted any offense just yet is pretty nice for Confused Ray as the control deck in the matchup. No need to Raigeki break this back row. I don't think that does anything. It's too early to just go like Sork beatdown, right? Yeah, here we probably... You could go set Zombira. I don't hate that. Bait out a knock, bait out a Minecon. That could be pretty interesting. Maybe saving the Zombira for later if MMF resolves a skill drain. is the play, but I kind of like set Zombira because you can protect it from battle with Ring or Regeki Break. I don't think normal Zombira really does much. Yeah, it's probably set Ring, set Zombira is probably what I would do here. I think that's pretty good. We're just gonna set the ring. That's also fine. Um, yeah, it depends on how highly. It depends on how sure you are MMF is playing skill drain again. And deck devastation virus, I guess, because Zumbira hedges against that too. So yeah, maybe because they're on both of those, getting your Zumbira knocked is actually not that great. And I guess you're not really baiting for anything anyway. Maybe if you had like your second faith in hand or whatever, um, it'd be good to set the Zumbira here. But I guess it doesn't do anything too much. If it baits out a Minecon, that's nice. But MMF, if all they have is a Minecon, is probably never Mineconning a set because they know Sork is in hand and alive. So yeah, maybe I was a little. I like the thought of setting Zombira, but it's probably not correct here. MMF goes upstart, sure. T set a back row pass. Do we care about Magician of Faith here? Kind of not really. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not super excited about Regeki breaking this set. I don't think there's a need. Oh, we just draw knock anyway, so that makes that question really easy. Okay, we're gonna go summon Zombira. Interesting. I wonder what the purpose of that is. I didn't think about this, but I feel like if we didn't summon Zombira last turn, why would we summon it this turn? Is, I guess, kind of my thought there. Unless the play summons Zombira, summons Sork, and then attack. But that doesn't seem particularly good either. I feel like it's probably just knock and do nothing. We're going to go Zombira attack. Okay. I mean, I guess this is fine. I guess you can do... Because Zombira is known. You might as well use it and then keep the knock hidden, is probably what Confused Ray is thinking. So, in that regard, like, you might as well just try to get a little bit of value with the Zombira because MMF. Otherwise, we'll just play around it for forever. So I actually don't hate that. And it ends up just being a Sangan. They grab Sinister, which is interesting. Suk could deal with the Zombira, but maybe they're not. I mean, they're probably not really scared about the Zombira at all. Sinister is, of course, just quite a good card. There could be a million reasons why they wanted to grab that. All right. Set a monster pass, sure. I feel like now, I mean, I guess do we just continue to attack with the Zombira? Probably not into Serpent, though, right? So I don't want to just, like, keep powering down my Zombira by killing Serpent every time. I'd rather just knock here. If you hit Serpent, that's fine. That's probably the play. We're going to go Tribute for TD attack. Okay. Wow. Yeah, okay. Hey, I mean, Confuse Ray is the expert here. Really holding on to this knock is pretty interesting. But I guess the idea is you want to attack this. You don't want to attack it with Zombira in case it is just a Sinister Serpent. You need to get a card out of your hand anyway. So Tribute Summoning here is kind of fine, I guess. And also doesn't die to Soup. It's an interesting play for sure. Definitely not intuitive. Do we go Tribute for Thunder Dragon and then knock and try to get the damage? Is that what they were setting up for this whole time? It was like, oh, I don't want to knock just yet because I can't attack for damage with Zombira, but now that I have Thunder Dragon on board, I'm going to go for the knock. Maybe that's what the play is. And in that case, I actually kind of like it. Slow rolling the knock just a little bit. You could probably make a guess that, MMF hasn't tested for knock just yet. So there's a good chance that they're baiting first, right? I guess you scratch all the stuff I was saying before about Magician of Faith as well, because that got knocked, right? So yeah, actually, I do like this. I think it's not super obvious, but trying to get a Thunder Dragon on board, backing up with knock is pretty nice. And you have Ring here, so you can actually do a lot more damage than you would think. And like if they have to Mirror Force your Thunder Dragon, that's like totally fine, right? Oh, we're gonna go meta. Oh, okay. So I just don't know anything that's happening here. We're gonna go meta into Dark Bolter to try. Oh, I guess if it is Sinister Serpent, this is really really good. So that's probably the idea. This is pretty card advantage negative though. I feel like. Do you really want to throw it all the way into a Mirror Force? If this was the play, I almost would have rather we Regeki break the new back row last time, right? Because I feel like this plays pretty hard into Mirror Force. So we might as well have just used our Regeki break to make sure this resolved. Because if they just have Mirror Force, we're super duper far behind. If they don't, we're in a good spot. But we could like hedge our bets by Regeki breaking. We have a discard card for it. So I would have preferred we try and clear the way first. I mean, we still could, I guess, if what we're trying to hit is Mirror Force, but you might as well snag it in the end phase, just to be sure. Okay, now Torrential comes down. And yeah, we just spent a lot of resources to not really accomplish too much, I feel like. Yeah. I like what they were going for, but I feel like going for a tribute summon into a meta play is so risky that you probably would want to clear out some back row before you go for that. And they did get punished. They're not out of it by any means, but that seemed like an unnecessary risk to take in that scenario, especially as the control deck, right? Like you don't really need to be forcing things at this point in time, you know? So it's interesting. Okay, and they're saying, okay, now it's just time to get aggressive. I'm just gonna summon the sorcerer and beat in. I mean, I guess it's unlikely that they have Mirror Force and Torrential set. So from that perspective, this is pretty safe. You could even go meta into Ryu Senshi if you really want to. That seems insane, but you could. But even that's two card advantage negative for Confuser, right? So we're gonna hit it for 23. And you know what? I guess next turn, meta for Ryu Senshi attacking Ring is game. And you have the knock here. So Confuser A, I mean, you do have cards that are good to get aggressive here. Right, Regeki Break to clear out back row, Ring for extra damage, Snatch Knock. So I don't hate trying to get aggressive here. I just feel like it probably would have been better to play it a little bit safer. Maybe. Let's see how it plays out, though. Seemed like a lot of risk was taken in a situation where it didn't really seem like you needed to get super aggressive. You know what I mean? And now they have Souk plus Knock. Okay. They get in for 11. Sure. And yeah, now once again, we just like... We didn't get to plus off of our Sark. We just used it for damage. Seemed like a lot of stuff that didn't necessarily... I feel like Confuser A got like a little bit antsy in a scenario where they didn't really need to be, right? Like if you're just in like a standoff at high noon with Chaos Turbo, seeing who's gonna blink first, shouldn't you be happy about that as Chaos Control? Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments, because like I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, right? So maybe this is a solid play, but I feel like they just got really antsy and did a bunch of stuff in a situation. I mean, like that's the joke people say about Chaos Controls. Like the deck doesn't have to do anything, right? You can just kind of sit back and absorb the pressure and then go for safe aggression, right? And Confuse Ray did a lot of stuff when it wasn't super safe. Now we have second knock in hand, which isn't doing anything. We have absolutely no plays, just gonna have to pass the turn. Yep. And then that goes Jar into Set a Monster Pass. We draw Kaiku. So now the play is normal summon Kaiku, knock, attack, which is nice and aggressive at least. Knocking Spy is pretty good when you're trying to get aggro. Hit in for 18. You can take them off Light Dark, which is really big. So this did end up being a pretty nice play. And you are pressuring a good amount to 300 damage away from ring lethal, which is pretty nice. MMF has upstart. I guess, do we think MMF is like super brick tier or something? I guess we know that they have double Thunder Dragon in hand, so getting more aggressive makes sense from that perspective. But at the same time, their faiths got knocked, and we still have one left in deck. So, like, that seems pretty good in terms of, like, winning a long game. You know what I mean? I'm a big fan of pressuring the opponent when they have their two Thunder Dragons in hand. Right? But so did you. You know what I mean? Like, neither player had an advantage in that sort of scenario. And so they've been playing monsters, so it's not like they were super bricked or anything. Yeah, I don't know. It's working out. They get to attack him with this Kaiku here. Sook comes down, but you can just ring the Sook and set up for lethal. Yep. All according to plan. MF gets down to 1,000. And yet, so maybe the idea is my opponent has two Thunder Dragons in hand. I have Ring, I have Knock, I have Sork and Kaiku. Let me get aggressive. Maybe. And it's working out. I just feel like MMF could have a lot of stuff here to stop this. Yeah, they have Sork here as well. Now that the Kaiku's face down, that's actually kind of nice. I guess, what do you want to do here? You want to set up for Snatch Steal, right? Snatch Steal is pretty good. So you probably want to Raigeki break something here. I haven't really been tracking both of these back row, but I feel like I mean, this one's been here for a while, right? Yeah, because the middle one was the Torrential, then it got replaced by the Jar. So this one we're pretty sure is not Mirror Force. This one could be Mirror Force. So I kind of like Raigeki breaking this back row and setting up for the Snatch for gameplay. Seems kind of good. You don't have to do it now, of course, because both of them are chainable at this point in time. We draw the last remaining Faith in deck, which is good. We could also just go set Faith, meta, steal the Sork attack for game. That's also a play. Snatch is probably a little bit safer though, I would guess. Yeah, I feel like you don't need to go for the. I mean, I guess Ring is gone. They could have Book, Mirror Force in that scenario. You don't really care. MST is gone though, so Snatch is a little bit better. So they would need to have like Raigeki break. Raigeki break deals with both plays though. So you might as well lead with Snatch Steal. Yeah, you probably just lead with Snatch Steal. If they out it, then you just Raigeki break the other back row and then go meta for game. Right. I think that's the play. I mean, you could do it in this order too. That's fine. Hit the skill drain. Sure. Then we go Snatch, and that's just GG. The back row is just a deck devastation virus, which they're not going to chain because then Kaiku will come through in the end. And okay, I guess. So Confuse Ray saying, you know what? You sided in a lot of like not actually that amazing cards against me, against like an aggro plan, right? Like deck devastation, skill drain, that does nothing against the plan of summon Sork, summon Kaiku, beat you to death, right? And so maybe Confused Ray siding into more of an aggressive mind, or not even siding into, but just playing with more of an aggressive mindset here because they know MMF is playing some like bricky cards that they can exploit. Like Double Thunder Dragon is in hand. You know that they're playing some of these bricky cards. You have a pretty aggressive hand, right? With Raigeki Break, Ring, Double Knock, Sork. I mean, meta you can even consider kind of an aggressive card, right? Double Kaiku at some point. So maybe from that perspective, like calling the time to get aggressive, working out. I feel like there's in a lot of cases that doesn't work out, and you just like use a lot of cards, and MMF just kind of stabilizes against you and turns the corner. and then you're just stuck with like a bunch of dead stuff in hand. But Confused Race picking their spot ended up being pretty well, and was able to, you know, find enough aggression to deal with MMF's hand. And so they had Zambira, they had Serpent, all lots of things that, yeah. I mean, the Tsukiyomi was their normal summon for the turn. Yeah, so their hand was just like really slow, I guess, and pretty gummed up on monsters and dead traps. I guess, right? Or traps that did nothing to deal with the offensive game plan from Confuse Ray. So yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is Confuse Ray picked their spot pretty well. I guess you're more likely to be successful in your aggression when your opponent is playing some of these odd choices of cards. So it's not like a standard Chaos Control versus Chaos Turbo matchup. It's Chaos Control with an aggressive hand against someone who could potentially be bricking or is more likely to be bricking than normal. Right. And Confused Ray is going to take this match down 2 games to 1. Chaos Control against Chaos Turbo. Some really, really interesting 3 games here. Um, Game 1 was just like classic Chaos Control outgrinding Turbo, finding the dub. Really absorbed pressure super well there. Played around like Tribe Infecting Virus and played through Dust Shoot and all this stuff. Was able to turn the corner and go for game from there. Game 2, Confused Ray very much seemed to be caught off guard by the skill drain that MMF sided into. That basically it just turned the game into who summons the bigger monster wins, and MMF had Snatch Steal on a BLS for that, which was pretty solid. Um, and then game 3, Confuse Ray, yeah, just finding a really good time to go aggressive, calling MMF's bluff, saying, hey, you got a lot of cards over there, but I know two of them are Thunder Dragons, and you're playing some weird stuff that can't really stop me if I get aggressive. And they ended up just being right, and MMF just didn't have the cards to deal with Confuse Ray's more aggressive game plan, and that's going to be enough to take it down. This was Goat Format War League Week 4 feature match. Confuse Ray is going to take down the dub. They're going to go to 3-1 on the season. MMF drops to 3-1, so both players still had an equal record, but solid win for the B.A.D.S organization. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know what you would have done differently in the comments, and I'll catch you all next time.